The sound of shattering glass pierces the quiet university hallway, echoing through the sterile corridors of Seoul National University's prestigious engineering building. In the advanced robotics lab, a group of senior students surround a fallen shelf, expensive equipment scattered across the polished floor like broken dreams. Among the wreckage lies Min-seo Park's thesis project, 6 months of painstaking work on an innovative prosthetic hand design, now destroyed in seconds. The petite graduate student stands frozen, her oversized gray sweater making her look even smaller against the towering figure of Tae-jun, the aggressive teaching assistant who accidentally bumped into her shelf while showing off to his usual entourage. "Watch where you put your things, little mouse," Tae-jun sneers, his muscled arms crossed as his friends snicker behind him. His designer watch catches the fluorescent light, a flashy reminder of his wealthy family's influence in the department. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The lab isn't your personal storage space. Min-seo's hands tremble as she kneels to gather the broken pieces, her long black hair hiding her face like a protective curtain. But it's not fear making her shake. It's the iron control required to keep her true strength in check, the same discipline that once made her famous in a very different world. 3 years ago, Min-seo Park wasn't the invisible girl hiding behind thick glasses and baggy clothes. She was Korea's rising Taekwondo star, the youngest female grand champion in her division, with Olympic dreams within reach. Her spinning kicks were legendary, her precision unmatched, and her future blindingly bright, until the scandal that forced her to disappear. Now she buries herself in robotics research, drowning her past in algorithms and circuit boards. Her only physical outlet comes during secret pre-dawn training sessions in her tiny apartment, where muscle memory refuses to let her forget who she really is, even as the rest of the world forgets who she was. As Min-seo carefully picks up a shattered circuit board, a worn photograph slips from between the pages of her notebook. Tae-jun's hand shoots out, snatching it before she can reach it. An old competition photo showing a fierce young woman executing a perfect spinning hook kick, her black belt stark against her crisp white dobok, her face alight with a confidence that seems worlds away from the quiet girl now kneeling on the floor. He looks between the photo and Min-seo, laughing in disbelief as his friends gather closer. "No way this is you," he scoffs, waving the photo like a trophy. "What, did you steal this from a magazine? Trying to pretend you're some kind of warrior?" The group's laughter bounces off the lab's sterile walls as other students pretend not to notice, suddenly fascinated by their own work. Even the whirring robots in their testing stations seem to grow quieter, as if sensing the tension in the air. Min-seo rises slowly, her movements containing a grace that seems at odds with her supposedly timid nature. Her voice comes out barely above a whisper, but there's an edge to it that wasn't there before. "Please give that back." Something in her tone makes Tae-jun pause, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face, but his pride won't let him back down in front of his friends. He holds the photo higher, his 6 feet 2 inches frame towering over her 5 feet 4 inches height like a schoolyard bully with his stolen prize. "Come get it then, little mouse. Show us some of those moves." His friends form a tight circle, trapping her in their midst. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows on their faces, turning the modern lab into something more primitive, an arena where power dynamics play out in ancient patterns. Min-seo's eyes dart to the door, where she sees Professor Young watching with concern, his hand hovering over his phone, ready to intervene. Their eyes meet, and Min-seo gives a slight shake of her head. She can handle this. She has to, or her carefully constructed new life will unravel like a poorly tied belt. "I don't do that anymore," she says quietly, adjusting her glasses with a practiced gesture that helps hide her true expressions. "Just return the photo, and we can forget this happened." The tension in the air thickens as Tae-jun steps closer, invading her space with the confidence of someone who's never had their assumptions challenged. "Make me," he challenges, his smirk hiding a flash of irritation at her continued calm demeanor. Min-seo takes a deep breath, years of discipline warring with the muscle memory screaming to respond. One wrong move, and everything she's built here could crumble like her broken project. But as Tae-jun starts to rip the precious photo, the last image of her with her father before everything fell apart, something inside her snaps like a board beneath a perfectly executed break. The next few seconds happen so fast that the observers will later question what they actually saw. Min-seo's hand shoots out with lightning precision, snatching the photo. As Tae-jun reflexively grabs her arm, her body moves with fluid grace that no amount of baggy clothing can hide. A pivot, a sweep perfected through thousands of repetitions, and suddenly the mighty teaching assistant is sprawled on the floor, the air knocked from his lungs. Min-seo stands over him, photo secured, her glasses slightly askew, revealing eyes that no longer look meek or afraid. Instead, they hold the sharp focus of a martial artist who has never truly forgotten her training. The lab falls silent except for the soft hum of machines. For a moment, the facade cracks, and everyone glimpses something extraordinary beneath the carefully crafted ordinary exterior. Then Min-seo pushes her glasses back up, pulls her sweater tight, and hurries from the lab, leaving stunned whispers in her wake. But this isn't the end. It's only the beginning. Because you can hide who you are for only so long before the truth demands to be seen. And Min-seo Park is about to discover that sometimes the greatest fights aren't won in the ring, but in finding the courage to stand up and show the world who you really are. Word of the lab incident spreads through the engineering department like electricity through a circuit board. By the next morning, Min-seo's quiet corner of the robotics lab has become the center of whispered conversations and furtive glances. She keeps her head down, focusing on salvaging what she can of her damaged project, but she can feel the weight of curiosity pressing in from all sides. Her carefully constructed walls are developing hairline cracks, and through them her past is beginning to seep. Professor Jung approaches her workstation, his footsteps measured and deliberate. Unlike the others, his gaze holds not curiosity, but recognition. He places a tablet on her desk, open to a web page that makes her breath catch. The article is 3 years old, but the image is unmistakable. A younger Min-seo executing a perfect spinning hook kick at the national championships, the gold medal already guaranteed before her foot completed its arc. "I thought I recognized your movement yesterday," he says quietly, pulling up a chair. "My daughter trained at the same academy. She spoke often of the prodigy who could break boards that masters struggled with." Min-seo's hands still over her broken robotics project, her fingers instinctively falling into familiar striking positions before she forces them flat against the desk. "That person doesn't exist anymore," she whispers, but Professor Jung's gentle smile suggests he knows better. He slides a business card across the desk, elegant Korean characters spelling out Master Kim's Elite Taekwondo Academy above an address in the quiet part of Seoul. "Master Kim took over the academy after your father's passing," he explains, watching as Min-seo's shoulders tense at the mention. "She asks about you sometimes, wondering if her best student will ever return." He stands, straightening his jacket. "The academy's struggling now. Many students left after everything happened. Master Kim could use an assistant instructor, someone who remembers the true spirit of the art." Min-seo waits until Professor Jung leaves before slipping the card into her pocket, her hands trembling slightly. The mention of Master Kim opens a flood of memories, the smell of wood and canvas, the rhythmic sound of bare feet on training mats, her father's proud smile as she earned her black belt at 15. But with those memories come others, the newspaper headlines, the accusations, the shame that drove her into hiding. Later that evening, as Min-seo walks through the university's central courtyard, a commotion near the student center draws her attention. A crowd has gathered, their phones raised to record what appears to be a confrontation. Through the forest of arms and cameras, she spots Tae-jun squaring off against a much smaller student, his face flushed with the same arrogance she witnessed in the lab. "You think because you know some fancy moves you can disrespect me?" Tae-jun's voice carries across the courtyard as he shoves the younger student, who she recognizes as Jin-ho from the university's martial arts club. Jin-ho stumbles but maintains his stance, his training evident in his balance. "I just said training with weights during kicks is dangerous," Jin-ho responds, trying to defuse the situation. "You could hurt yourself or others. But Tae-jun isn't interested in safety advice, especially not after yesterday. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Yesterday's humiliation. His pride demands a display of dominance. Min-seo's feet move before her mind can stop them. She pushes through the crowd just as Tae-jun launches a wild haymaker at Jin-ho. Her hand shoots out, catching Tae-jun's wrist in a technical grip that would make any Taekwondo master proud. The crowd gasps as she redirects his momentum, sending him stumbling sideways without apparent effort. "That's enough," she says, her voice carrying the authority of someone used to commanding attention on the competition mat. For a moment, her old self bleeds through completely, spine straight, eyes focused, presence filling the space. Then she remembers herself and steps back, adjusting her glasses nervously. But it's too late. Someone in the crowd has recognized her from the old competition photos they dug up after yesterday's incident. It is her, Park Min-seo, the champion who disappeared. The whispers ripple through the gathering, phones now turning to capture her instead of the confrontation. Tae-jun's face darkens with recognition and renewed humiliation. "So the mouse has claws after all," he spits. "But where were those skills when your father needed them? When the academy was falling apart?" The words hit harder than any physical blow, sending Min-seo stumbling back as if struck. She turns and flees before anyone can see the tears threatening to fall. In her tiny apartment that night, Min-seo pulls out the business card Professor Young gave her. Her fingers trace Master Kim's name as memories wage war with fear in her mind. On her laptop screen, social media is already buzzing with blurry photos and videos from the courtyard incident. Her carefully maintained anonymity is unraveling thread by thread. As she stares at her reflection in the dark window, Min-seo realizes she's reaching a crossroads. She can run again, find another university, build new walls, or she can face the past she's been hiding from. The question is, which would her father want her to choose? The next morning, Min-seo stands before Master Kim's elite Taekwondo academy, her heart pounding against her ribs like a sparring partner's kicks. The building looks smaller than she remembers, its once pristine white walls now showing signs of wear. The sight of the faded sign featuring her father's calligraphy makes her throat tight. Through the windows, she can see a handful of students practicing basic forms, their movements lacking the precision her father once demanded. She's about to turn away when the door slides open, revealing Master Kim. The older woman's hair has more gray than Min-seo remembers, but her posture remains impeccable, radiating the quiet strength that made her father choose her as his successor. Their eyes meet, and 3 years of absence dissolves in an instant. "I wondered how long it would take you to come home," Master Kim says softly, her voice carrying none of the judgment Min-seo had feared. Inside, the familiar scent of wood and canvas wraps around her like an old friend. Master Kim leads her to the office, her father's office, where nothing has changed except the thin layer of dust on his old trophies. "The videos are everywhere," Min-seo says, sinking into a chair. "The university, the incident, I can't hide anymore." Master Kim nods, preparing tea with the same methodical precision she brings to her martial arts. The routine is so familiar it makes Min-seo's chest ache. "Perhaps it's time to stop hiding," Master Kim suggests, placing a cup before Min-seo. "Your father never wanted you to disappear. The scandal, the accusations, he was prepared to fight them." She pauses, her eyes finding the old photo of Min-seo's father on the wall. "He always said that true strength isn't in avoiding falls, but in how we rise afterward." Their conversation is interrupted by commotion from the training floor. Through the office window, they see Tae-jun striding in, followed by several university students with phones raised. He's wearing expensive training gear, a black belt tied incorrectly around his waist. "I'm here to challenge the great Park Min-seo," he announces loudly, his voice carrying through the entire academy. The few students present stop their practice to stare. Unless she's still running from her past? Master Kim moves to intervene, but Min-seo places a hand on her arm. "It's okay," she says, standing. "I need to face this." She removes her oversized sweater, revealing a simple tank top that no longer hides her athletic frame. Without her glasses, her eyes show a focus that's been missing for 3 years. "This is a place of learning," she addresses Tae-jun, her voice carrying the authority of her training. "Not a place for personal vendettas." But Tae-jun's smile turns predatory as he pulls out his phone, showing a news article from 3 years ago. "Learning? Is that what your father called taking bribes to fix tournaments?" He sneers. "Everyone knows the truth about why you disappeared. Your father's reputation was destroyed, and you ran away instead of defending his honor. Some champion." The young students whisper among themselves, recording everything. Min-seo feels the weight of their judgment, the same weight that drove her into hiding. But this time, something is different. She looks at her father's photo on the wall, remembering his words. "A true martial artist knows when to fight and when to teach." "You want a challenge?" Min-seo asks, her voice steady. "Fine. But we do this properly. 1 week from today, a formal match. If you win, I'll publicly admit to everything you've accused my family of." The crowd murmurs in excitement, but she's not finished. "But if I win, you'll help restore this academy's reputation. You'll train here properly and learn what Taekwondo really means." Tae-jun scoffs, but she can see the uncertainty in his eyes. 1 week? Afraid to face me now? Min-seo walks to the training floor, her bare feet remembering every groove in the wooden boards. "A true martial artist respects tradition," she says, beginning her warm-up stretches with fluid grace. "But if you need a demonstration..." She moves into a basic poomsae, each movement precise and powerful. The watching students lower their phones, mesmerized by the pure technique on display. "Next week," Tae-jun agrees finally, his bravado slightly diminished. "I'll show everyone what a fraud you really are." He turns to leave, but pauses at her voice. "One more thing," Min-seo calls. "Train seriously this week, because when we fight, I want no excuses." As Tae-jun storms out, Master Kim approaches Min-seo with a familiar package wrapped in cloth, her old dobok preserved all these years. "Your father would be proud," Master Kim says softly. "Not because you're fighting, but because you're finally standing up." Min-seo takes the uniform, its weight familiar in her hands. She has 1 week to prepare, not just for a fight, but to reclaim everything she lost. As she begins her training, the video of her demonstration is already spreading across social media. The hidden champion has emerged from the shadows, and Seoul's martial arts community is buzzing with anticipation. The story of Park Min-seo is about to enter its next chapter. Dawn breaks over Seoul as Min-seo enters the academy, her old dobok crisp and white against her skin. The familiar weight of the black belt around her waist feels both foreign and natural, like returning to a childhood home. Master Kim is already there, preparing the training floor with traditional striking pads and breaking boards. They have only 7 days to bridge 3 years of absence. "Your techniques are still sharp," Master Kim observes as Min-seo moves through her warm-up exercises. "But competition fitness is different from maintaining forms in secret." She sets up a series of complex kicking drills that Min-seo remembers from her championship days. "We need to rebuild your stamina and power without sacrificing the precision that made you special." The morning progresses brutally. Each kick must be perfect, height, angle, speed, and power all precisely calibrated. Min-seo's muscles scream in protest as she repeats the same movements hundreds of times. When her roundhouse kick drops slightly after 2 hours, Master Kim makes her start the entire sequence again. "Your father always said that excellence isn't about being perfect," Master Kim says, adjusting Min-seo's stance slightly. "It's about being perfect when it matters most." The words strike deeper than any physical correction. Min-seo remembers her father saying the same thing before her first championship match, his gentle hands positioning her feet just as Master Kim does now. During a water break, Jin-ho, the student from the university confrontation, enters the academy tentatively. "I hope it's okay that I came," he says, bowing respectfully. "After seeing what real Taekwondo looks like, I want to learn properly." Master Kim glances at Min-seo, who nods slightly. Traditional training starts at sunrise, Min-seo tells him, surprising herself with how naturally she falls into an instructor's role. Be ready to work harder than you ever have. Jin-ho's face lights up with determination, and soon he's joining them, struggling but persevering through the basic forms that Min-seo now realizes she'd been taking for granted. As morning classes begin, more students arrive, many filming on their phones. Word of Min-seo's return has spread, and with it, curiosity about the upcoming challenge. Some of the videos of her demonstration have gone viral in martial arts circles, sparking debates about her father's legacy and the true story behind their disappearance. During an afternoon break, Min-seo finds Professor Jung waiting in the office. Tae-jun's father is on the university board, he warns, concern evident in his voice. He's demanding your scholarship be reviewed, claiming your hidden martial arts background constitutes fraud on your application. The news hits hard, but Min-seo straightens her shoulders. My research stands on its own merit, she responds, her voice steady. And maybe it's time people knew the whole story. She pulls out an old newspaper clipping from her father's desk, the original article that started the scandal. My father wasn't taking bribes to fix tournaments. He was investigating corruption in the sport's governing body. The bribes were evidence he was gathering. Professor Jung reads the article carefully. This could clear his name. Why didn't you come forward before? Min-seo's hands clench at her sides. They threaten to destroy more than just reputations, she says quietly. After my father's accident, I couldn't prove it wasn't really an accident. So I ran. I thought I was protecting what was left of his legacy, but maybe I was just protecting myself. The afternoon training session focuses on sparring. Master Kim brings in some of her advanced students, each offering different challenges for Min-seo to overcome. Her body remembers the rhythms of combat, the dance of advance and retreat, the split-second decisions that mean the difference between victory and defeat. Your opponent will be strong, Master Kim notes as Min-seo catches her breath between rounds. But he lacks understanding. Taekwondo isn't about force, it's about turning force against itself. She demonstrates a complex combination that uses an attacker's momentum to create openings. Min-seo practices it repeatedly, each repetition smoother than the last. As evening falls, Min-seo stays behind after the others leave. In the quiet dojang, she moves through her father's favorite poomsae, each movement a conversation with his memory. Master Kim watches silently from the doorway. Tomorrow we test your breaking techniques, she says finally. Your father once told me that breaking boards is easy. It's breaking through our own limitations that's difficult. Min-seo nods, understanding flowing deeper than words. Outside the academy, a small crowd of students has gathered, phones recording through the windows. Among them, unseen, stands Tae-jun, his expression troubled as he watches Min-seo's focused practice. The challenge suddenly feels more daunting than he'd anticipated, but his pride won't let him back down now. The videos continue to spread. The disgraced champion's return, the upcoming challenge, the resurrection of a once legendary academy. But within the dojang's walls, Min-seo focuses only on the next movement, the next technique, the next step toward reclaiming not just her skill, but her truth. 3 days before the challenge, Min-seo arrives at the academy to find Master Kim in an intense discussion with a man in an expensive suit. Through the office window, she recognizes him immediately. Mr. Choi, the former head of the Taekwondo Federation's competition committee, the same man who had threatened her father 3 years ago. You should control your student, Mr. Choi says as Min-seo enters, his smile never reaching his eyes. This challenge is drawing unwanted attention. Old stories are better left buried. The threat in his voice is subtle but clear. Master Kim stands her ground, every inch the warrior despite her age. You've scared us once before, Master Kim responds. Never again. Mr. Choi adjusts his gold cufflinks, the same ones he wore the day Min-seo's father confronted him about the tournament fixing scheme. His presence here confirms what Min-seo has long suspected. Her father's car accident wasn't random. Your father was stubborn too, he tells Min-seo, right until the end. Such a tragedy. Brake failures are so unpredictable. The words hit like physical blows, but Min-seo channels her anger into focus, just as her father taught her. She notices Mr. Choi's nephew lurking in the doorway, Tae-jun, looking uncomfortable for the first time since this began. "You're the reason Tae-jun joined the university's martial arts club," Min-seo realizes aloud. "You've been watching me this whole time." Mr. Choi's smile widens fractionally. "Smart girl. We had to ensure you stayed retired. Your father's evidence died with him, but martyrs' daughters can be troublesome." He glances at Tae-jun. "My nephew has been useful, though his recent performance has been disappointing." Min-seo sees the shame flash across Tae-jun's face and understands something new about her opponent. "You never wanted to be part of this, did you?" she asks him. Tae-jun won't meet her eyes, his arrogant facade cracking. "The challenge stands," Mr. Choi interrupts sharply. "But the stakes have changed. You will lose publicly. Confirm the allegations about your father. Then this all goes away." He places a document on the desk, a contract guaranteeing Min-seo's scholarship and future career, in exchange for her silence and defeat. "And if I refuse?" The temperature in the room seems to drop at her question. Mr. Choi's smile finally vanishes. "Accidents can run in families," he says softly. "And this time, we'll start with the academy." He nods toward the training floor where young students are starting to arrive for morning class. "Your father died protecting his students' futures. Are you prepared to risk theirs for your pride?" Master Kim steps forward, but Min-seo raises a hand to stop her. "You're right about one thing," she tells Mr. Choi. "I am my father's daughter." She picks up the contract and tears it in half. "Which means I know the difference between pride and principle." "Foolish girl," Mr. Choi snarls, his composure finally breaking. "You're throwing away your last chance." But Min-seo is already walking onto the training floor, her voice ringing with authority as she calls the students to attention. "Today's lesson is about courage," she announces, loud enough for everyone to hear, including the students already filming on their phones. "Real courage isn't about winning fights. It's about standing up for what's right, even when you're afraid." She turns back to Mr. Choi. "My father taught me that." Mr. Choi signals to Tae-jun, but his nephew doesn't move. Instead, Tae-jun steps forward and bows deeply to Min-seo. "I forfeit the challenge," he declares, "and I have a story to tell about tournament fixing and threats." His uncle's face contorts with rage. "You dare betray family?" Mr. Choi demands, but now Master Kim is recording too, capturing his reaction. Outside, police cars pull up to the academy. Professor Young has brought reinforcements, having heard everything through the office door. As Mr. Choi is led away in handcuffs, still protesting, Min-seo finds her father's old notebook in his desk. Inside, detailed records of the corruption he discovered are carefully preserved. Master Kim had kept it safe all these years, waiting for the right moment. "Your father believed the truth would come out eventually," Master Kim tells her, watching as journalists begin to gather outside. "He just needed someone brave enough to speak it." She looks meaningfully at Tae-jun, who stands awkwardly nearby. "I'm sorry," he tells Min-seo, "for everything. I never knew the whole story, about your father, about what my uncle did." Min-seo considers him for a moment. "Then help me tell it," she responds. "Not with a fight, but with the truth. That's what Taekwondo is really about. The courage to do what's right." She turns to the gathered students, who watch with a new understanding of their art's true meaning. "Class begins in 5 minutes," she announces. "Today we practice integrity." As the students scramble to line up, phones finally lowered, Min-seo feels her father's presence in every corner of the dojang. The fight she feared isn't happening. Instead, she's won a much more important victory. The media storm that follows Mr. Choi's arrest transforms the small academy into the center of Seoul's martial arts world. Reporters crowd the entrance, their cameras flashing as high-ranking officials from the Taekwondo Federation arrive to address the scandal. But inside the dojang, Min-seo maintains her father's routine. Morning practice begins at sunrise, regardless of what chaos swirls outside. Your roundhouse kick is still dropping, she tells Tae-jun, who now trains in a white belt, having voluntarily relinquished his black belt after confessing to his part in his uncle's schemes. He accepts the correction without complaint, a humility that would have seemed impossible just days ago. The other students watch their interaction with curiosity, the former enemies now working together to rebuild what was nearly destroyed. Professor Young arrives during the morning break, carrying official documents from the university. The board has reviewed your case, he announces, his expression serious. Min-seo braces herself, but then he breaks into a smile. They're offering you a full professorship in the engineering department, contingent on completing your doctorate. It seems exposing corruption makes quite an impression. Min-seo accepts the papers with steady hands, remembering how she once thought she'd have to choose between her father's martial arts legacy and her own academic dreams. Both paths require discipline and seeking truth, she says, echoing words her father once spoke. They're not so different after all. The afternoon brings more visitors, representatives from the National Sports Committee, investigating the full extent of Mr. Choi's corruption. They interview Master Kim and Min-seo for hours, poring over her father's notebooks. The evidence reveals a web of fixed matches and threats stretching back years, implicating several high-ranking officials. Your father suspected it went all the way to the Olympic Selection Committee, one investigator explains, showing Min-seo documents she'd never seen before. That's why they moved against him so quickly. He was close to exposing everything. The revelation hits hard. Her father had died protecting not just his academy, but the integrity of the sport itself. As evening classes begin, Min-seo notices a familiar face among the new students signing up. Jin-ho has brought his entire university martial arts club. We want to learn real Taekwondo, he explains, bowing deeply. Not just techniques, but the principles behind them. More surprising is the group of engineering students with him, including several who once snickered at the little mouse in their department. The academy welcomes everyone willing to learn, Min-seo tells them, remembering her own journey from hiding to standing tall. She leads them through basic stretches, each movement a reminder of how far she's come. Master Kim watches from the office, her proud smile matching the one in her father's old photograph. Later, as Min-seo cleans the training floor, a task she insists on doing herself, just as her father did, Tae-jun approaches with news. The Federation is calling for a complete restructuring, he reports. They want Master Kim to help oversee the reforms. He hesitates, then adds, and they're posthumously reinstating your father's standing. His name will be added to the Hall of Honor. Min-seo's hand still on the mop handle, emotions threatening to overwhelm her. 3 years of hiding, of carrying her father's dishonored name, and now, finally, vindication. But Master Kim's voice cuts through her thoughts. Honor isn't given by committees, the older woman says, joining them. It's earned through actions. Your father knew that, and now, so do you. She hands Min-seo a package wrapped in clean white cloth, a new master's uniform, with her name embroidered in gold thread. The academy needs both of us now, Master Kim continues. Your father always said Taekwondo must evolve while keeping its roots. Engineering in the morning, teaching in the evening. You'll show our students that strength takes many forms. As Min-seo changes into her new uniform, she catches her reflection in the office window. Gone is the hesitant girl hiding behind oversized clothes. In her place stands a woman her father would recognize, head high, shoulders straight, ready to forge her own path while honoring those who came before. The next morning's sunrise class is the largest in years. Students line up in crisp white uniforms, a mix of ages and backgrounds united by purpose. Min-seo leads them through the first form, her voice clear and confident. Taekwondo begins and ends with respect, she tells them, the words familiar yet newly meaningful. Respect for others, for principles, and for ourselves. She meets each student's eyes, seeing in them the same potential her father once saw in her. Today we practice not just with our bodies, but with our hearts. The morning sun streams through the windows, illuminating the dojang just as it did in her childhood. On the wall, her father's calligraphy still reads, "In seeking excellence, we find ourselves. Min-seo smiles, finally understanding the full meaning of his words. She hasn't just reclaimed her past, she's discovered who she was meant to become. 6 months later, the academy buzzes with excitement. The annual championship tournament has returned, but this time, there's a difference. Instead of just sparring matches, the event includes a special demonstration combining traditional Taekwondo with modern innovation. Min-seo's engineering students have developed training robots that respond to form accuracy, helping perfect techniques through instant feedback. Technology serving tradition, Professor Young remarks, watching as young students practice with the interactive training dummies. Min-seo's doctoral project has evolved far beyond its original scope, drawing attention from martial arts schools worldwide. The university's engineering department has never received so many applications, particularly from young women inspired by her story. Tae-jun, now wearing a hard-earned green belt, helps calibrate the equipment. His transformation from antagonist to dedicated student has become a testament to the Academy's philosophy of growth and redemption. The sensors need adjusting on the high kicks, he reports, his technical knowledge combining with his developing martial arts expertise. The tournament's opening ceremony brings a surprise. The national team's head coach arrives with an unexpected offer. We're reforming the Olympic selection process, he explains in Master Kim's office. Complete transparency, merit-based choices. We want you both on the selection committee. Master Kim looks to Min-seo, who stands by the window watching students warm up. I have conditions, Min-seo responds, thinking of her father. The committee includes representatives from small academies, not just the big training centers, and we implement my father's original proposals for anti-corruption measures. The coach nods, having expected nothing less from Master Park's daughter. As the tournament begins, Min-seo notices a young girl watching from the sidelines, clutching a worn backpack and wearing the same hesitant expression she once wore. During a break between matches, she approaches the girl. Would you like to try? She asks gently. The girl startles, then nods shyly. I'm not very strong, she whispers, but her eyes follow the competitors with longing. Min-seo leads her to a practice area, away from the crowd. Neither was I at first, Min-seo tells her, demonstrating a basic stance. Strength isn't just in muscles, it's in here. She taps her heart, then her head, and in here. The girl mirrors her stance, wobbling slightly but determined. Throughout the day, between overseeing matches and managing the technical systems, Min-seo keeps an eye on the girl. By afternoon, she's joined the beginner's class, her initial fear transforming into fascination. Master Kim notices too, sharing a knowing look with Min-seo. They both recognize the spark of a true martial artist in the making. The tournament's highlight comes during the evening demonstration. Min-seo, wearing her master's uniform, performs her father's favorite pumsae alongside her students. Their synchronized movements tell a story of tradition meeting innovation, of falling down and rising stronger. Among the spectators, she spots some of her father's old students, returned to honor his legacy. Later, as competitors and families begin to leave, Jin-ho approaches with news from the university. The International Engineering Conference accepted your paper, he announces proudly. They want you to keynote the robotics session. Min-seo smiles, remembering how she once thought she had to choose between her worlds. The young girl from earlier lingers as others leave, clearly reluctant to go. Min-seo recognizes the look. It's the same one she wore when first discovering Taekwondo. She makes a decision. What's your name? She asks. The girl straightens instinctively, responding to Min-seo's gentle authority. Song-yi, she answers. I want to learn, but my family can't afford classes. Min-seo thinks of her father, who never turned away a dedicated student. The academy has a scholarship program, she tells Song-yi, whose eyes light up with hope. Named after my father, for students who show the true spirit of Taekwondo. She glances at Master Kim, who nods approval. As they close the academy that night, Min-seo finds herself alone in her father's old office. The Hall of Honor certificate bearing his name hangs beside her doctoral candidacy announcement, different paths leading to the same goal of excellence. She opens his notebook, now preserved behind glass, reading his familiar handwriting. True victory isn't in defeating others, but in becoming who you're meant to be. Outside, the city lights shine on the Academy's new sign, Park and Kim Academy of Traditional Innovation. Master Kim joins her carrying 2 cups of tea, the same ritual they now share every evening. "Your father once told me his greatest hope was that you'd find your own way," she says, placing Min-seo's cup on the desk. "I think he'd be proud to see you've found something even better. You've made a way for others." Through the window, they watch Song-yi's father pick her up, the girl excitedly showing him the basic moves she learned. Min-seo sees herself in the child's enthusiasm, sees her father in her own teaching, sees the future in the blend of old and new that the Academy now represents. Tomorrow's class starts at sunrise, Master Kim reminds her with a smile. Min-seo nods, feeling the perfect balance of who she was, who she is, and who she's still becoming. The hidden master isn't hidden anymore. She's exactly where she needs to be. 1 year later, the Park and Kim Academy hosts the International Youth Taekwondo Innovation Championship, the first of its kind. The event combines traditional martial arts excellence with technological advancement, drawing participants from across Asia. The once modest academy now spans an entire building, its modern facade seamlessly blending with traditional Korean architecture. Min-seo stands at the center of it all, her master's uniform now bearing the additional insignia of her completed doctorate in robotics engineering, a symbol of her successful fusion of 2 worlds. The Academy's training floor has evolved beyond what even Min-seo initially envisioned. Her refined training systems have revolutionized how young practitioners learn complex techniques. Interactive holograms demonstrate perfect form, while sensors provide real-time feedback, helping students understand the precise mechanics of each movement. Yet tradition remains at the core. Students still begin each session with meditation and end with manual cleaning of the dojang, a practice Min-seo insists maintains the spiritual essence of the art. Song-yi, now a determined blue belt, leads a demonstration team of scholarship students. Her transformation from the shy girl of last year mirrors Min-seo's own journey. The young student moves with a confidence that makes Min-seo's heart swell with pride. As she executes a flawless spinning kick, combining power with precision, Min-seo catches Master Kim wiping away a proud tear. A crowd of younger students watches from the sidelines, their eyes wide with admiration. The same look Min-seo once had watching her father's demonstrations. "She reminds me of another young girl who once thought she wasn't strong enough," Master Kim says, adjusting Song-yi's stance with the same care she once showed Min-seo. The student beams under the attention, her confidence growing with each precise movement. "But strength comes in many forms, as you've taught us all." Master Kim gestures to the packed academy, where students of all ages and backgrounds train together. Tae-jun, wearing his newly earned brown belt, manages the technical aspects of the championship with meticulous attention to detail. His redemption story has attracted its own attention, leading to a popular series of online lectures about ethics in martial arts. His journey from privileged bully to humble martial artist has inspired many to confront their own prejudices and limitations. The monitoring system detected some irregularities in the junior division scoring, he reports, his commitment to transparency unwavering. A year ago, such discoveries might have been buried. Now they're addressed openly and fairly. "Handle it according to the new protocols," Min-seo instructs, knowing he understands the importance of integrity better than most. The anti-corruption measures they've implemented have become a model for tournaments worldwide, with several major competitions adopting their system of transparent judging and technical verification. During the lunch break, Professor Jung brings unexpected visitors, representatives from the International Olympic Committee, their presence causing a stir among the participants. They've been following the Academy's innovative approach with interest, particularly how it maintains traditional values while embracing technological advancement. "We're reviewing how technology can enhance fair judging in competition," one delegate explains, examining the sensor arrays with obvious approval. Your systems could revolutionize not just Taekwondo but all martial arts events. Min-seo leads them through the training areas, where students of all ages work with both traditional equipment and cutting-edge technology. In one corner, Jin-ho teaches a group of engineering students basic forms, bridging the gap between physical discipline and technical innovation. The sight of future engineers practicing poomsae alongside dedicated martial artists perfectly embodies Min-seo's vision of harmony between tradition and progress. The afternoon brings a special ceremony, the dedication of the Park Memorial Research Center, a new wing of the academy devoted to martial arts education innovation. The modern facility houses both training areas and research laboratories, representing the perfect synthesis of Min-seo's dual passions. As she cuts the ribbon, she spots a familiar face in the crowd, the reporter who first broke the story of her father's alleged corruption years ago. "I always knew there was more to the story," the reporter admits during a quiet moment, her press badge now bearing the name of a major international network. "Your father's vision was ahead of its time. Now, through you, it's finally being realized." She gestures to where Song Yi is helping a younger student with a difficult move, showing the same patience Min-seo once showed her. "You've created something unique here, a place where the past and future strengthen each other." As evening approaches, Min-seo finds herself in her father's old office, now shared with Master Kim. The walls display both traditional scrolls and digital screens, ancient wisdom alongside modern innovation. A new photo has joined her father's, Min-seo and Master Kim, with their first graduating class of black belts, including Tae-jun. The contrast between the old photograph and the new tells its own story of growth and change. Master Kim joins her, carrying their customary evening tea in the same cups they've used for the past year. "Your father once told me that true mastery isn't about reaching the summit," she says, settling into her familiar chair. "It's about helping others climb their own mountains." She hands Min-seo a worn envelope. Her father's last letter, never delivered, found recently during the renovation of his old home. Inside, Min-seo finds a simple message. "The strongest bridges connect the past to the future. Build yours with courage." The paper bears her father's distinctive handwriting, and as she traces the characters with her finger, she feels closer to him than ever before. Through the window, the setting sun casts long shadows across the training floor, where Song Yi and her team continue practicing under the guidance of both traditional masters and AI-assisted systems. Each student represents a bridge between what was and what could be, carrying forward the essence of Taekwondo while forging new paths. "We're building it, Father," she whispers, touching the glass, "every day in ways you might never have imagined but would understand completely." 5 years have passed since the first International Youth Championship, and the Park and Kim Academy has become a beacon of martial arts innovation across Asia. Today marks a special occasion, the graduation ceremony of the Academy's first generation of students who've completed both the traditional martial arts program and the technical innovation track. Among them stands Song Yi, now a poised young woman preparing to receive her black belt. The ceremony hall, once the simple training floor where Min-seo first revealed her true skills, has been transformed. Traditional Korean lanterns hang alongside holographic displays showing the achievements of each graduating student. The worn wooden floors still bear the marks of countless training sessions, each scuff and scratch telling its own story of perseverance. Tae-jun, now a respected master instructor himself, leads the technical demonstration team. His journey from antagonist to trusted mentor has become legendary among new students, a living example of Taekwondo's transformative power. The monitoring systems he helped develop are now standard in international competitions, ensuring fairness and transparency in ways Min-seo's father could only dream of. "Remember when you couldn't even look me in the eye?" Min-seo teases him during a break in the ceremonies. Tae-jun laughs, adjusting his master's belt with the humility that's become his trademark. "Now I teach others to stand tall," he responds, watching his own students prepare for their demonstrations. The ceremony takes an unexpected turn when Master Kim announces her retirement, though she'll remain as an advisor. "The art must evolve," she says, her voice carrying the wisdom of decades, "and those who guide it must evolve too." She removes her master's belt and, in a moment that brings tears to many eyes, offers it to Min-seo. The academy needs a new headmaster, one who understands both where we've been and where we're going. Min-seo accepts the belt with trembling hands, feeling the weight of tradition and responsibility it represents. As she ties it around her waist, she catches a glimpse of her father's photo on the wall. His smile seems particularly bright today, as if approving this passing of the torch. Professor Young, now dean of the engineering department, presents the technical certification to the graduating class. "You represent something unprecedented," he tells them, "the perfect blend of physical discipline and technological innovation. You're not just martial artists or engineers, you're pioneers of a new way forward." Song Yi's demonstration combines everything the academy represents. She begins with a traditional poomsae, each movement precise and powerful. Then, seamlessly, she integrates with the academy's latest training technology, her movements controlling holographic opponents while sensors track and display the force and accuracy of each technique. The audience, including representatives from dojangs worldwide, watches in amazed silence. "This is what your father saw coming," Master Kim tells Min-seo quietly. "He knew Taekwondo couldn't remain frozen in time. It needed to grow while keeping its soul." She hands Min-seo another surprise, a journal they found during recent renovations, hidden in a wall panel. It contains her father's early sketches for training innovations, drawings that bear a striking resemblance to what the academy has actually become. After the ceremony, Min-seo finds Song Yi in the old practice room, throwing the same basic kicks that she struggled with 5 years ago. "Some things never change," Song Yi says, noticing her master's reflection in the mirror. "No matter how advanced we get, it always comes back to the fundamentals." Min-seo joins her, matching her movements as they practice together. "That's what makes it beautiful," she replies. "The harmony between old and new, between tradition and progress." They continue in silence, their synchronized movements reflecting years of shared growth and understanding. Later, as the celebration winds down, Min-seo stands in what was once her father's office, now her own. The space reflects the academy's evolution. Centuries-old scrolls share wall space with cutting-edge displays. Traditional weapons rest beside prototype training devices. On her desk, next to her doctoral dissertation, sits a framed photo of her father teaching a young Min-seo her first kick. Master Kim joins her one last time for their evening tea ritual. "Your father would be proud," she says, "not just of what you've built, but of who you've become." Min-seo touches the master's belt at her waist, feeling the connection to all those who wore it before her. Through the window, she watches as the next generation of students arrives for evening practice. Among them, she spots a small girl in an oversized dobok, watching the senior students with the same mix of fear and determination that once marked Song Yi's arrival, that once marked her own beginning. "Ready to begin again?" Master Kim asks, seeing where Min-seo's attention is focused. Min-seo smiles, understanding that every ending is just another beginning in disguise. She straightens her belt and heads for the training floor, ready to guide the next chapter in the ever-evolving story of their art. The hidden master has not only emerged, but has helped others find their own light. And in doing so, she's discovered that the greatest strength lies not in being strong alone, but in building bridges between past and future, tradition and innovation, teacher and student, creating connections that will endure long after the last kick is thrown. 10 years later, on the 20th anniversary of the Park and Kim Academy's transformation, a documentary crew films the bustling complex that has grown from the humble dojang. The academy now spans an entire district of Seoul, its architecture a harmonious blend of traditional Korean design and cutting-edge sustainable technology. The original training hall remains at its heart, preserved as a reminder of where everything began, its wooden floors still bearing the marks of countless training sessions that shaped legends. Song Yi, now Master Song, leads the International Development Program, establishing satellite academies across Asia. Her own journey from timid beginner to respected master has become part of the Academy's lore, inspiring countless students who see themselves in her story. Today, she's conducting a master class that's being broadcasted to affiliated schools worldwide, her presence commanding the same quiet authority that Min-seo once showed. The principle remains unchanged, she tells her global audience, demonstrating a complex kick combination with flawless precision. Whether you're training with traditional methods or using our latest virtual reality systems, the core of Taekwondo lies in the unity of mind, body, and spirit. Behind her, students practice with both physical partners and holographic opponents, the technology so seamlessly integrated that it feels like a natural extension of the art. The air hums with the energy of ancient tradition meeting future innovation. Tae-jun, who now heads the World Taekwondo Federation's Ethics and Innovation Committee, visits regularly to consult on new developments. His own children train at the academy, learning alongside students from every background imaginable. The scholarship program he helped establish, named in honor of Min-seo's father, has transformed thousands of lives. His office walls are lined with thank you letters from families whose lives have been changed by the opportunity to study at the academy. "We're not just teaching martial arts anymore," he explains to the documentary team, his eyes bright with pride. "We're preserving a legacy while building a future. Every student here learns not just how to kick and punch, but how to innovate, how to lead, how to bridge divides." He gestures to the wall of achievement, where photographs show academy graduates who've gone on to become everything from Olympic champions to pioneering scientists. Each success story represents a branch of the tree that grew from Min-seo's courage to reveal her true self. The afternoon brings a special ceremony, the dedication of the Master Kim Memorial Library, a vast repository of both physical and digital martial arts knowledge. Master Kim had passed away peacefully 2 years earlier, but her influence lives on in every aspect of the academy. The library houses not only traditional scrolls and modern research papers, but also interactive historical exhibits that allow students to learn from the masters of the past. Min-seo, now in her 50s but moving with the same fluid grace that once amazed her peers, unveils a holographic statue of her mentor. The technology, developed by their research team, captures not just Master Kim's movements but the subtle nuances of her teaching style, allowing future generations to experience her wisdom firsthand. "Master Kim taught us that true strength lies in adaptation." Min-seo addresses the gathered crowd, her voice carrying the weight of experience. "She helped me understand that honoring tradition doesn't mean refusing to change. It means carrying forward the essential spirit while embracing new ways to express it." The hologram shows Master Kim performing a perfect pumse, her movements a testament to the timeless beauty of the art. In the research wing, Professor Jin-ho leads a team developing the next generation of training technology. Their latest project combines artificial intelligence with traditional teaching methods, creating personalized learning experiences that adapt to each student's unique needs while maintaining the crucial human element of instruction. The labs buzz with activity as engineers and martial artists work side by side, each bringing their unique perspective to the evolution of the art. Min-seo taught us that technology should enhance, not replace, the human connection, Jin-ho explains, demonstrating how the new system helps instructors better understand and guide their students. "Every innovation we develop serves the same purpose our ancestors had, to help people become their best selves through martial arts." The screens around him display real-time data from training sessions across the complex, each data point representing a student's journey toward mastery. As evening approaches, Min-seo finds herself in her old office, now a historical display within the Academy's museum. Her father's original notebooks share space with her own research papers, their combined vision having shaped the future of martial arts education. A group of young students presses their faces against the glass, pointing excitedly at the legendary Hidden Master's first black belt, their whispered conversations full of reverence for the story it represents. "Tell us the story again," one child begs their instructor, eyes wide with wonder. "About how you were scared to show your true strength but then became the greatest master." Min-seo smiles, remembering her own journey from hiding to leading. She steps out to meet them, seeing in their eager faces the same passion that once drove her, the same potential for transformation that exists in every student who walks through their doors. "The greatest strength," she tells them, kneeling to meet their eyes, "isn't in being the best fighter or having the most advanced technology. It's in being true to yourself while helping others find their way. She leads them to the training floor, where students of all ages practice together, their movements a living synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern innovation. Later, as the documentary crew captures their final shots, they film one last scene that encapsulates everything the Academy represents. Min-seo stands in the courtyard, performing the same basic form she learned from her father decades ago. Around her, hundreds of students mirror her movements, their synchronized practice creating a beautiful harmony of tradition and progress. The setting sun casts their shadows long across the ground, each one telling its own story of transformation, each movement a testament to the power of embracing one's true strength. The hidden master's journey has become more than just a personal tale of redemption. It has evolved into a legacy that continues to transform lives, proving that the greatest victories aren't won through force or fear, but through the courage to be authentic and the wisdom to help others find their own path to mastery. As night falls on the Academy, the lights within continue to burn bright, guiding the way for all who seek to discover their own hidden strength. 25 years after Min-seo first revealed her true identity, a young girl named Tae-jun stands before the imposing gates of the Park and Kim Academy Global Center. At 13, she's the same age Min-seo was when she first began her journey in Taekwondo. Like Min-seo before her, Tae-jun carries a secret. She's been practicing in secret using the Academy's public virtual training programs, too afraid to step into a real dojang. Her small tablet, worn from countless hours of replaying training videos, contains every public demonstration Min-seo has ever performed. Today is different. The Academy is hosting its annual Global Youth Development Program, accepting students from around the world. Tae-jun clutches her acceptance letter, her hands trembling slightly. The holographic welcome sign shifts between languages, welcoming students from every corner of the globe. Above the entrance, a quote from Min-seo herself glows in elegant script. True strength lies not in hiding, but in having the courage to be seen. The morning sun catches the Academy's crystal walls, creating rainbow patterns that dance across the courtyard where hundreds of students gather. Inside, the central training hall buzzes with activity. Students from diverse backgrounds warm up together, their dobaks bearing patches from their home countries. The air hums with dozens of languages, all united by the universal language of martial arts. Advanced students demonstrate complex techniques while newcomers watch in awe. The Academy's latest training technology projects personalized guidance holograms for each student, adapting to their skill level and learning style. Tae-jun tries to make herself invisible against the wall, a habit Min-seo would have recognized all too well. Master Song-yi, now in her 40s but moving with the same precise grace that once earned her legendary status, notices the nervous newcomer. She sees something familiar in Tae-jun's stance, the carefully controlled movements of someone who knows more than they're willing to show. The way the girl adjusts her stance microscopically when others aren't looking, the subtle corrections to others' techniques that she whispers to herself, thinking no one can hear. "Welcome to your new home," she says, approaching with the same gentleness Min-seo once showed her. During the orientation, Tae-jun learns that each student will be assigned a training partner from a different country. Her partner is Maya, a confident girl from India who immediately starts chattering about the Academy's famous history. "Did you know," Maya whispers during Master Song-yi's welcome speech, "that the greatest master here once pretended to be weak? But when she finally showed her true strength, she changed everything." Maya's enthusiasm is infectious, her energy filling the space between them with possibilities. Tae-jun nods, having watched the documentary about Min-seo's story countless times on her tablet. What Maya doesn't know is that Tae-jun has already mastered many advanced forms, practicing alone in her family's small apartment using the Academy's free training holograms. Like Min-seo before her, she's been hiding her passion, afraid of standing out. Every night she would push the furniture aside in her tiny room, creating just enough space to practice the forms she'd memorized from watching endless training videos. The first training session reveals the Academy's unique approach. Traditional training mats share space with cutting-edge diagnostic equipment. Students practice basic forms while AI systems provide real-time feedback, their movements analyzed and refined with both technological precision and human wisdom. Holographic training partners adjust their difficulty level based on each student's progress, while sensor-embedded uniforms track every movement with microscopic precision. Master Song-yi moves through the rows of students, offering the same personal corrections that once made the academy famous. During a water break, Ji-eun overhears two senior students discussing the upcoming demonstration for the academy's founders. Min-seo, though semi-retired, still attends major events. They say she can still spot hidden talent just by watching someone's basic stance, one student says. Last year she identified a champion before they even knew they could compete. Ji-eun's heart races at the thought, her carefully maintained facade threatening to crack under the pressure of her dreams. As the day progresses, Maya's endless energy starts to crack Ji-eun's careful shell. During partner exercises, Ji-eun occasionally lets glimpses of her true skill show through. A kick held slightly longer than necessary, a stance too perfect to be coincidental, transitions between movements that speak of thousands of hidden repetitions. Master Song-yi notices but says nothing, remembering how Min-seo's own journey unfolded. Instead, she assigns the pair increasingly challenging exercises, creating opportunities for Ji-eun to grow more comfortable with revealing her true abilities. The afternoon brings a surprise visitor, Min-seo herself, now in her 70s but carrying herself with the same quiet dignity that once transformed the martial arts world. Her presence sends a ripple of excitement through the training hall. Students straighten their dobaks and sharpen their movements, each hoping to catch the legendary master's eye. She walks through the training hall, stopping to observe different groups, offering occasional words of wisdom that students receive like precious gifts. When she reaches Ji-eun and Maya's station, she pauses longer than usual. Something in the way Ji-eun holds herself, the careful precision with which she maintains her appearance of averageness, catches Min-seo's experienced eye. "Show me a basic front kick," she requests, her eyes twinkling with familiar recognition. Ji-eun performs the technique with deliberate imperfection, but Min-seo smiles knowingly. "Now show me the real one," she says softly so only Ji-eun can hear. "There's no need to hide here. Not anymore." Something in Min-seo's gentle authority gives Ji-eun courage. Her next kick displays perfect form, power, and control, the result of countless hidden hours of practice. The nearby students stop to stare, but Min-seo's proud smile makes the attention feel less frightening. In that moment, Ji-eun feels a connection across generations, understanding finally what Min-seo must have felt all those years ago. "Every generation has its hidden masters," Min-seo announces to the gathered students, her voice carrying the weight of experience and wisdom. "The challenge is not in having strength, but in finding the courage to share it, to let your light shine not just for yourself, but to illuminate the path for others." She places a hand on Ji-eun's shoulder, just as Master Kim once did for her, creating a bridge across time and tradition. As the sun sets on Ji-eun's first day, she watches Min-seo demonstrate a complex form for the advanced class. The legend may have aged, but her movements still tell the story of transformation that began in this very hall. The legacy of the hidden master lives on, not just in the buildings and technology that bear her name, but in the courage she inspires in each new generation. Ji-eun realizes she's no longer afraid of being seen. Like the hidden master before her, she's ready to step into the light and help write the next chapter in the Academy's evolving legacy. The circle completes itself, and a new one begins. 30 years have passed since Min-seo's story first inspired the world. The Park and Kim Academy has become more than just a martial arts school. It's a global movement. On this particular morning, the original academy in Seoul prepares for a momentous occasion, Min-seo's final public demonstration, before officially passing the torch to the next generation. The ceremony hall, expanded over the decades but still maintaining the original wooden floor where it all began, fills with people from around the world. Among them sits Ji-eun, now a master instructor herself, watching her own daughter, Min-ji, prepare to participate in the demonstration. The young girl, named after both Min-seo and Ji-eun's grandmother, represents the third generation of their intertwined legacy. Maya, who remained Ji-eun's closest friend since their first day as training partners, now heads the Academy's International Relations Department. She moves through the crowd, greeting representatives from their 100 satellite locations across the globe. Each academy maintains the perfect balance of tradition and innovation that Min-seo first envisioned, their training methods evolving while keeping the core principles intact. The morning begins with a historic announcement. The International Olympic Committee has officially recognized the Academy's integrated training system as the global standard for martial arts education. The system, combining physical training with ethical development and technological innovation, has transformed how martial arts are taught worldwide. Song Yi, now the Academy's senior master, makes the announcement with proud tears in her eyes. This recognition, she tells the assembled crowd, belongs not just to us, but to every student who ever found the courage to show their true strength. Her gaze finds Ji-yoon in the audience, remembering the shy girl who once hid her talents, just as Min-seo had. Now Ji-yoon leads the Academy's youth development program, helping other hidden masters find their light. Min-seo, now in her 80s but still carrying herself with remarkable dignity, takes the center floor. The hall falls silent as she begins her final public demonstration. Her movements, though slower than in her prime, display the perfect harmony of technical precision and spiritual depth that has become her trademark. Each technique tells a story, of hiding and emerging, of fear transformed into strength, of individual growth becoming universal truth. As she moves through the form, holographic images appear around her, showing key moments from the Academy's history. The technology, far advanced from the early days, creates a three-dimensional timeline of their journey. Young Min-seo hiding her skills, the first confrontation that revealed her true nature, the transformation of the Academy, and the countless lives changed along the way. Min-ji joins her on the floor, their movements synchronized across generations. The young girl mirrors Min-seo's techniques with the same quiet confidence that once marked her grandmother's emergence from hiding. The audience watches in reverent silence as past and future flow together in perfect harmony. During the ceremony, Tae-jun's grandson, now a promising young instructor, presents Min-seo with a special gift, a digital archive containing millions of stories from students whose lives were transformed by her example. "Your story sparked a revolution," he says, his grandfather's humility evident in his voice. Not just in martial arts, but in how people view their own potential. The Academy's research wing, now a sprawling complex of laboratories and training centers, demonstrates their latest innovation, an AI system that helps identify and nurture hidden talents in students, inspired by Min-seo's ability to spot potential in those who try to conceal it. Technology serving humanity, Ji-yoon explains to the visitors, just as martial arts serves personal growth. As the day progresses, Min-seo takes time to speak with each new generation of instructors. Her message remains consistent. Our strength lies not in the techniques we master, but in how we use them to lift others up. She watches as Min-ji helps a nervous new student find proper stance, seeing her own story continue through another generation. The ceremony concludes with a mass demonstration. Thousands of students, both present and participating virtually from academies worldwide, performing in perfect unison. The sight brings tears to Min-seo's eyes, remembering the days when she trained alone, afraid to show her true self. Later, in the quiet of the original training hall, Min-seo finds Ji-yoon and Min-ji practicing together. She joins them, 3 generations moving as one, each bringing their own story to the eternal dance of martial arts. The setting sun casts long shadows through the windows, just as it did on that first day when a hidden master found the courage to emerge. The greatest victory, Min-seo tells Min-ji, echoing words she first heard from her own master decades ago, is not in being the strongest, but in helping others find their strength. She watches as understanding dawns in the young girl's eyes, knowing that the legacy will continue long after she's gone. As night falls on the academy, the lights remain on, as they have every night since Min-seo first stepped out of the shadows. In dojangs across the world, students continue to train, each carrying a piece of the hidden master's story in their hearts. The circle completes itself again and again, each ending becoming a new beginning, Each student both learner and teacher in the endless journey of growth and discovery. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.